All right, welcome back to Adventure's Edge. This is DM Don, and since I did just talk about wounds, this is going to be the last thing that you would need to worry about for combat damage. So wounds come into play on critical hits. So let me go ahead and share real quick. So I mentioned, at least in that combat video, what would happen if you got hit in the lower leg, right? So we'll scroll down to the chart, and we had Braun swinging and hitting that goblin in the lower leg, and we figured he did like 13 points of damage. Much the way you do stun and bleeding, for every 5 points of damage you do on a critical hit, then you also do a corresponding wound to that hit location. You also do the same bleed and stun. So let's just say Braun did his slash at the goblin. He does 12, let's say 12 damage. Well, we know automatically he does a point of bleed and a point of stun. And because that's again for every increment of 5, but now he's done a 2 increment wound, right? Because it's he did over 10 damage. So on the goblin sheet, that goblin now has taken a double wound to their leg. And what that does is that for every wound somebody has, they are at -1 per wound point. So now they're at -2. Now, the other feature to this is, and this is net. So if you end up getting lots and lots of wounds and you don't get them addressed, I mean, this is how your character could eventually get disabled. And this kind of goes back to doing any sort of activity. Now, again, you only get wounds on critical hits. So this isn't something that's happening on every hit, right? These are still crits that are giving you wounds. And you can take multiple wounds to a hit location, and they are treated as separate wounds. Because if you take, and this is descriptively, if you take a minor wound, which is just a single point of wound, that's just kind of like it's considered to be a minor wound. If you take 10 points of damage on a crit to a body part, that's considered to be a major wound. It's something bad has happened to that body part. So that it's up to the GM to describe that. But this is probably a pretty severe laceration, maybe even a fracture. Could be in a number of things. You're probably not going to die, but it's bad. If you take a 3-point wound, so you've taken a blow, a critical hit that did 15 damage, that's considered to be a mortal wound. So if you take a 15 points of damage, it is up to the GM to decide what has happened. So in most cases, if you take 15 points of damage to an appendage, the appendage is probably going to be severed. If you take it to your face, you're probably going to be like permanently maimed. Maybe you've lost an eye, that type of thing. Mortal wounds in general can be lethal. If it doesn't automatically kill you from the damage, then, I mean, the GM can adjudicate that because this is not a high hit point game. So if you end up taking 15 points of damage in a single blow from a crit, you're probably going to be down. I mean, some of your beefier types might have total of 20 hit points, but you're still going to be maimed, right? Because now you've taken a 3-point wound, you've suffered a severe body injury, and now you're at penalties too. So I just wanted to cover those. When they come up in the game, we'll address it. Hopefully that players inflicted wounds on the enemies, but I think that takes care of that. So that is how wounds work. So there will be lots of stun and bleeding, but hopefully wounds again happen on critical hits. All right, that's it for wounds. Thanks.